Y'all, she sent me a box full of crayon boxes. Look at all of these crayon boxes in here. She saw the video that I did where I turned a crayon box into a little junk journal, and she sent me these because she thought it was nice that I was able to use something that someone would consider trash and make something beautiful. And she does much of the same thing. She buys crayons, but she also uses broken crayons to make her beautiful crayons. So she has inspired me for today's project. So let me get started. I especially love these Colors of Kindness boxes. So we might use, on the side it has what the different colors of crayons, what they symbolize or mean, and it just has all these sweet little sayings. So we might just use the sides of these boxes. I think that would make such a pretty little junk journal. So I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and start cutting down boxes until we have enough pieces to cover the front and back of a journal. What do you guys think about that? I think that might be really cool. Okay guys, this is what we have to work with as far as these little crayon boxes are concerned. I'm not sure if we're gonna have enough to cover the entire journal in these little sections, but I won't know for sure until we get it all cut down and laid out and see what we're working with. But I have a plan B if that doesn't work. So we're gonna go ahead and get to cutting, and then I'll catch up with you guys in just a minute. Okay, my friends, we have got our cover ready to go. It is looking nice and neat, and we are ready to put on the next layer. I have cut down all of our little crayon box pieces, and I have those here. And we are just gonna arrange these on the cover so that they make a sort of a rainbow. So we're gonna line them up like this and glue them down, and then one like this. And then we'll do this across the entire journal. And this will kind of be like our little base to put some more creative things on. So this is gonna be fun. I'm just gonna probably put some music on for you guys, because this is literally just gonna be me gluing these little things to the cover. And we're gonna speed it up and get this done really quick, and then we'll talk about it afterward. So let's get to work. All right, friends, let me show you what we've got going so far. I have, hang on just a second. I see a little glue happening right here. Okay, let's talk about how this went. Originally, I was gonna do the spine also, so I have enough pieces to put on the spine. But as I was working on this, I thought maybe it would be cool if we left the spine black, and then when we sew our signatures in, use colors, like different colors, and maybe do a rainbow situation with our threads on the spine. So I think I'm gonna hold off on the spine for now, and we can always decide to put those on later if we want to. But the covers are done, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a close-up here. All the little words are, and it's definitely got that pretty like rainbow effect. Very colorful. You probably can't see too well from there, but I have a little bit of cardboard showing where some of these are a little bit longer than the others. So I'm just gonna kind of get up close to that spine and see if I can get those off. Not the spine, close to the journal cover. And then I think what we'll do is take our sanding disc. That's not a sanding disc. take our sanding disc and we're gonna just go along the edge, and I think that's gonna give us that really clean look where everything is exactly the same, like it was made to go on here. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. Distress these edges really well. Get rid of any extra cardboard from these little boxes. Yeah, that's looking nice and clean now. Yep. See how this one looks a little wonky? We're gonna take care of that. All right, now that we've got our edges looking nice and neat and even, I've exposed a little bit of that brown cardboard color, which I don't mind all that much, but I'm thinking I probably want to go ahead and maybe darken those up with a little bit of our original paint color. Also maybe try to give it like a little vignette around here where the edges are a little bit darker. So maybe I'll use some ink for that. Let's see what happens with this. I think I'm going to use a wet wipe and just kind of do like a little tiny bit of paint on there. And then run it over the edge and see if we can't kind of disguise a little bit of that cardboardy. Oh yeah, that's working. Here's what I usually do when I'm working on a design element for mixed media. I usually decide where I want to have my main focal point, and then that will kind of dictate where everything else goes. For this journal, I want to have my main focal point kind of in this area. So a lot of this down here is going to be covered. So that means I want to build up a whole bunch of like texture and things that don't necessarily draw your eye as much, but that you still kind of get a tactile feeling from, or still have a little bit of visual interest. So that this, well, you would usually call this a white space. In our case, it's a colored area, but this is gonna, we just want this not to steal attention from our main element. And then I usually like to add a little piece of design somewhere else around here just to kind of make it flow and continue the design through the whole piece. I don't know what our element is going to be. I'm going to start adding some layers of things. I have an idea to do with some paper. So we're going to give that a try. And whatever I do on the front, I generally try to do something complimentary on the back. First, let's get down some stamping. Stamping needs to happen before you do any of your pastes, because the texture paste is going to add texture. That's the whole point of it. And stencils don't really like to go down, or stamps don't really like to go down on textured surfaces as well. So if you're going to do any stamping, do stamping before you do your texture. Let me grab out my stamping stuff. I kind of got a little bit ahead of myself wanting to do the texture paste. I really enjoy that part, so I'm always like in a hurry to get to that. But we need to wait on that and get our stamps done first. So I'm gonna do that first, and then we will move on to the texture paste. I pulled out this this stamp set by Tim Holtz. I thought we might use a few of these. I really like this set. I've never used it before, so I thought, why not? Let's give it a go. So if you are planning to put anything that has moisture on top of your stamps, you probably want to use archival ink because it doesn't react to water. It's waterproof. So that's why I'm going to use this particular ink today, because we are going to be adding texture paste and probably some sprays and colors. So we're going to go with this guy today. Vintage photo, so I might use a few of those for the splatters. Maybe the vintage photo. It's an oldie but a goodie. Oh yeah, I like that. Did I go overboard? Maybe. I don't know, friend. I don't know. Why is my camera not focusing on its own today, though? But here's kind of what we're working with so far. It's really pretty. Is it too much? Maybe. I got carried away. I'd like stamping. And of course, I like the back more than the front, so that figures, right? Oh, goodness gracious. All right, let's move on to texture because I'm really excited about doing the texture. All right, this is the stencil that I've chosen. It's a Tim Holtz, just a really cool little pattern. Also have dots, but I think I'm just gonna use this one here. It kind of has like a little, I don't know, florally look to it. I really like it. So I'm gonna put this on here in some random spots, and we're gonna do our texture paste. Let's see just how sparkly it is. I don't know, can y'all tell? Maybe it shows up more when it's dry. I think we're gonna go for it. I mean, why not? We have it. Let's go. Oh, it's really mushy. My other one must be a little dried out. This is very soft. Okay, friends, here we go. I'm just gonna take a little glob of it and just start putting it down. I'm not trying to cover every bit of the stencil. I just want to have it kind of in some spots. And I know a lot of people like to have it exactly perfectly smooth, but I kind of enjoy the texture of it when it has little bumps and ridges on there. So if that happens, I'm not mad about it, you know? I'm gonna put the extra back in the jar. All right, and then let's see what we got. Oh yeah, that's cute. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe down the edges though. I probably shouldn't have done that with my fingers. I wasn't really thinking too good. Ooh, I love it. I love it. Isn't that cool? Maybe I should have done the opaque or put some color in it. I actually like it. That white color is kind of cool. But it will dry completely clear. So if we want to color it, we'll have to paint it or ink it or something. But let's go ahead and add some more. Let's go ahead and tackle the back. Is the back of this dirty or can I just... I better wipe it. I'll be sad if it's not good. We're going to do kind of the same thing on the back. So, let's get to it. Uh-oh, I felt it shift a little bit under my finger. We'll see how bad the damage is in just a minute. The good thing is when you're working with this paste is that you have a little time to wipe it off if you don't love the pattern, and then you can redo it. So let's see if my shifting around had an effect on what we have going on here. No, it actually did pretty good. I think we're gonna go with that. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and do like a little across there. Oh, it shifted again. My word. I don't love that one. It didn't do well. We're gonna edit that a little bit. You can edit any of these parts that you don't like if it was a half of a little flower petal or whatever, you can just kind of wipe it off. When it dries though, it's on there, guys. There's no undoing it once it's dried. So make sure that you get it how you want it while it's still wet. I think we're just going to do 2 big spots on this side. I'm going to try to be a little bit more random with my smear this time. All right. I like it. let's leave it alone before I get too obsessive about it. See, the thing is, I try to shoot for perfection in everything I'm doing, and like sometimes you just need to get the background down there. Like, keep in mind that it's just the background. We haven't even started working on the focal point yet, and that's hard for me sometimes. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna go wash this off with soap and water right now because it will dry like on you, and it dries pretty permanently. So let me just clean up any edges, make any edits that we want to make right now. If we see any little parts that we don't like that right there. Okay, let me go wash this. All right, let me give you guys a peek a little bit up close of how this is looking. Oh, we got a little edge there. Okay. Oh, I broke my palette knife. Okay, here's what we've got going so far. And then here's the back cover. Kind of cool looking. I'm gonna set this in front of the fan to dry, but you can already kind of see the places that are thinner that we've already done. Like this area right here is starting to get a little bit translucent, and it is gonna disappear completely. Well, not completely. You'll still be able to see the shine from it, but there will be no more color, no more white to it. So it'll go completely transparent. It's a bit too tall. I'm not going to measure the width of each of these. I do want them to have a little bit of variation, some of them thicker, some thinner. So we're not even going to worry about trying to measure. Okie dokie. We've got some strips of paper. I don't know the best way to do this, so I'm just going to wing it. And I think my kids just drove up, so I might have to go so I can see how their day went at band camp. But basically what we're going to do is go over and under, just like you would, you know, like make a pie. We're going to do this, and we're going to do it over and over and over. And I'm going to do a little glue in there so that everything will stay put while I'm working on it. In fact, maybe it would just be better to have a plan. Hold, please. And then this way we can kind of work on our strips and take them under and over a little bit easier. That, and then push that guy up. And then we can tape him down for a second and get another strip and work on it this way. What do you guys think? You think it's gonna work? I thought it would be a really cool texture if it does work. So on this first one, I went under this first strip and then over. So on this next one, we're gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna start over and then go under and then over and under. So you're gonna do the opposite each way, like that. Okay, and then we have our second strip in place. And we're going to tape him down. Okay, so then it's time to do these three again, so we can lift them out of the way. Put our next strip down. Let's do a really wide one and see what that looks like. Kind of cool. Let's go with it. Or do we want to be a little bit more uniform? Y'all, I am so OCD about stuff. I'm actually going to rip one of these strips and use it. And then we're going to do the opposite one. So this one and that one. And we're going to continue in this fashion until we have a piece that we think is plenty big enough for our focal point. I think this is going to be plenty big enough. I might want to add one more strip this way just so I have a little bit more room to work on. I can be a little bit more choosy about which section I use and have plenty to choose from. So first, third, and fifth go up. And then 2 and 4 go up. And then first, third, fifth. And then 2 and 4. All right, that's what we got so far. I'm going to steal a little bit of this one and we're going to continue on this strip. It works the same way. You'll just, you'll lift every other one and put your strip down. And then this guy's going to come up. And then this guy. So like that. And then we'll give him a little shake and shimmy, get him lined up, and there we have it. Now, did I do that right? Under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. Yes. Okay. So we have our little strip or our little piece that's woven together. What I'm going to do is on the very edges, I'm going to just dot a little glue under the last pieces so that they'll kind of stay together for me. There we have it. How cool is that? I think it gives a lot of texture. It's really neat looking. Hey, it's getting there. It's starting to get pretty clear. Can you see? You can see the shine of it, right? The sparkle is really pretty too. It's very subtle, which I like. I think this is what we're going to be working with. Do I need to glue you guys? Yep. Where are you? I know you want to be glued down. Here we go. Got it. And you're already glued. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Here's what we have. And we're going to sneak this right up to the edge of our spine there. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm thinking that's going to be kind of cute. Yep. And then we're going to layer some more things on here. So there's one. We need to figure out where we're going to put this one. I feel like we need one on the back as well. We'll wait till that dries and we'll clean that up a little bit more. But here's what we've got. I'm really liking the way that this, the woven paper is looking. It's kind of a cool look. And then you can see where we have that texture paste. It's doing a really pretty sparkle. I feel like the camera's not doing a great job of picking it up. And then all the stamps in the background. So pretty. I'm liking the way this is going so far. And then this side, I decided to go with the smaller piece on the bottom just to mix things up. Again, that texture paste is doing what it does. So pretty. The next step is to apply something to this. I'm not sure if we're going to use gesso, texture paste, or just plain old glue, but I want to make sure that the front of this paper is sealed. And I kind of wanted to add more texture to it, but I don't necessarily want the texture to be that glitter texture paste. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I'm thinking on it. All right, I have gathered twigs. Put some of that down there. Oh, oh no. Okay. Whew. I need a new thing. The reason I'm adding the gesso in is because I feel like this would still be very translucent. And I kind of want something a little tiny bit thicker that's going to be a little more opaque, but not completely. So we're going to just kind of test this out and see how it works. It might be a huge failure, but I'm not going to add very much gesso, like that much. And then we will see what we have here toward the end. These products are not made to be mixed up, so it might not work at all, but we're going to see what happens. And I didn't want it to be stark white. You know, I want it to have that kind of vintage color that the paper already has. But I want to waterproof everything. So that's looking kind of close to it. I think we're going to give this a go. Let me get my smear and a piece of test paper here and see what this is looking like. This might not be bad, guys. Yeah, I think we're going to give it a go to see what happens. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. You know what I mean? Basically just getting some on there, kind of covering up all the areas so that we can make sure we're sealed in. And then I'm gonna wipe it back and see how that does when we wipe it back. See if we still have some waterproofing. Did not intend to get it on the book spine. But yeah, this way it kind of sinks down into those cracks a little bit. I know it probably doesn't look a whole lot different to you, but the texture is way different now. Now, whether it's a good or a bad thing, I don't know. But it has settled into all the little crevices, and it looks, I don't know, it looks really cool, actually. Technique. But you just take a big glob of this mixture, and then I just used my brush and kind of went in circles, trying to get it in every little crevice that I could, because when it gets down in those little cracks between the paper, it settles in and it stays, and it looks cool when you wipe it back. And I'm just using a wet wipe to do that. But you just kind of like wipe it back, and I'm trying not to take all of it off because I really like the way it looks on there. So you just wipe back as much as you want, leave it thick or thin, do your thing, and then it looks really, really cool. I really like the look it's given. And then let's see if they'll come off the mat. Yep, it does. This stuff is sticky though, for real. I wouldn't use my favorite paintbrush for this. Okay, friends, I pulled out some of this lace that I dyed using Tim Holtz inks, and I thought we might use a little of this, but also as I was looking, so we could do colors, we could layer, like we could choose any of these would go with our cover really well. The yellow is really pretty. Here's the orange. I don't like the pink so much. The blue is really pretty. Love the green. They're all pretty good. And then we have the vintage colors, if we wanted to go that route. But I was also, while I was in my lace, I found this material, and it's really cool. This is like from the trim and lace section at Dollar Tree, back when Dollar Tree was $1. And I love the texture of that. I feel like that is really tactile and cool. But I think it might disappear because my plan was to layer things here. And I feel like it might not, it kind of disappears when you put it there. So I was thinking it would look cool if we could bring more of that black that we used here and in our stamping back into this. So I'm wondering if we can actually like stain this or dye it black. That's what I'm thinking. And then we can layer this up, maybe get another textural element. I really want to use some metal on this journal. And then figure out our focal point. So we're building layers right now. I'm going to go ahead and toy with this a little bit and try to dye this and see what happens. And if it's a complete fail, we might just go with some of this colored lace. I think that would also be really pretty layered up. So let me play with this for a minute and let's see about that and see what we think. Okay, friends, I have been, I made a whole mess of my craft room, pulling things out and looking at things. And I took some time to play off camera because it took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do. But I think I've settled on something. We're going to do like a little kind of collage-ish situation. Still not certain about what we're going to do on the back side of this journal. But I've got some things to play with, and I think what we're going to do is just start gluing some stuff down, because after a while, you just have to glue some stuff down and hope for the best, right? There's only so much thinking and planning you can do before you got to make some, you know, decisions and lay some stuff down. So we are going to lay some stuff down and just see what we're thinking. I'm pretty confident that I like what's going on the front of the journal, so we might just start here. And start gluing. Sound like a plan? Let's do it. Here we go. Kind of making sure that I have my placement right on this before I... Alright, so this is kind of where I want to be with this guy. I'm gonna make a little mark on it with my erasable pen. Just gonna kind of draw the edge of this circle here. That way we can play and shift things around and see what we need to do. So this is a really cool, this is a transparent thing from Holtz, and I'm not exactly sure what it's meant to be. Is it like a dial of some sort? I don't know, but it's got numbers and it's a circle and it's clear and cool. So we're gonna lay that here. The question is, do I want this to be raised up at all? Do we want to try to put some foam tape underneath? Or do we want to lay it flat? I think either way it would be really cool. I think maybe for the elements we're going to add on to it, we should keep it flat for this journal. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab out my Barely Art glue and a little bit of double-sided tape just to kind of hold things still while the glue is drying. And we're gonna plop this baby down. I think I'm gonna keep the 0. Which way do we want the arrow? It makes too much sense to leave it at the top, right? We'll have it slightly off kilter, I think. All right, I'm just gonna stick down little pieces of this tape. Just so it can kind of help the piece stay in place while the glue does what it does. All right, glue time. I'm being very careful to keep away from the center of this guy. I don't really want any glue to show through that transparent part in the center. I mean, it's all transparent, but we especially don't want it in that really clear space in the center. All right, I'm gonna dust off the back of it. You know, it might be kind of cool to add a shaker element in here. I don't think I'm gonna do that, but that would be a really cool thing to do. Do we want a shaker element? Hang on. Do we want to put something behind this? Okay, this is last minute and it's making me nervous. I mean, I do have some mica flakes right here in front of me that I've never used. Why not? Let's give it a go. It'll probably all get stuck in the glue and you won't see it anyway. But we'll put a few of those down there. Just for funsies. Okay, back to it. Here we go. Try not to get my fingers all up in the glue here. All right, she's down. I'm mushing it real good. Really wanting that tape to stick down and hold while our glue is setting, so probably we should go ahead and put something heavy on top of this also as soon as we get our things kind of where they need to be. All right, let's do stamps next, I think. And then we'll do these 2 things, and then our ladies can go on. Yep, that's the plan. That was a lot of glue. My friends, yes it was. Okay. There's that. And now, I think this looks really cool. This might be easier to put the glue here instead of on the fabric. We will do both. You know, I could have used Fabri-Tac. That probably would have been better. I should have used Fabri-Tac to glue this down too. I feel like it probably would have done a better job holding that. But I didn't think about it, friends. I didn't think about it, okay? I'm just gonna put a little Fabri-Tac back here. Ooh, that's not a little, friend, that's a lot. That's fine. I'm sure that'll be fine. Oh my mercy. Okay. All right. Okay, that was a lot. Okay, friends. Maybe, oh, this is gonna be like a one shot to stick this down type of situation, I think. Oh, okay. All right, she's down there. Whether that's where we want her or not, that's where she's staying. Oh my mercy. Golly. Yep. And I didn't glue these little tail parts down because I thought, you know, we could do that right now instead of like trying to do it all at once. So here we go. Again, that was way too much glue. And that's fine. Here we go. Get this little tail. Now come here, friend. You need glue. Okay. There we go. All right. I feel good about that. I think that's gonna stick for sure. And now our ladies. I think we'll use Fabri-Tac for them too, honestly. Yep, I do. All right, girls. Maybe not quite as much as I did on the fabric because you kind of want it to seep into the fabric a little bit and have a plenty, but the paper's just gonna smush it all out. So we'll try to go a little a little less heavy-handed, shall we? Ooh, okay, that was maybe not less heavy-handed at all. I feel like the Fabri-Tac could really benefit from a precision glue nozzle. Anybody else? I've seen people buy those like, you know, the little icing bottles that you use to ice cookies with and put their Fabri-Tac in there. Maybe that's something I need to look into. All right, gals, here we go. Do I want to tuck their feet into the lace a little bit? No, we'll go on top. Let's just do it. Ooh, center it up, girls, center it up. All right, well, that's where they are. I think it looks all right. We're just gonna gently push them down, trying not to smush the glue too much. My kitty cat's playing with the lighting setup over there. She's something, y'all, that cat. Now, I had this little butterfly here, and I was kind of undecided on her, but I think maybe it's cute there. I feel like it needs a little something down there. What do you guys think? Put our little butterfly down? I feel like it's not a journal if I don't put a butterfly on it. Every single thing I do has a bug or a butterfly. I can't help what I like, friends. I cannot help it. All right, here we go. Little butterfly. I'm gonna tack it down with some Fabri-Tac, but I might go back and do a little stitching on it down the body of the butterfly. Oh goodness, my cats are up to no good today. Pretty sure I just heard Dilly swinging from the chandelier in there. All right. Okay, so I had this kind of doing this number, which I do. I kind of like that. So that we're gonna go with that, I think. We'll think about that and maybe that. But for now, I know I like this much, so that's what we're gonna go with. Here's what that looks like. I think it's really cute. I like that little element there. Very cute. Kind of thought about doing the butterfly body that way too, because I left the wings kind of free. I don't know, that glue feels like it's pretty secure on there. But I did think about doing the butterfly body in the embroidery floss, so we might go back and do that. But we need to add some stitches back here, I feel like. Okay, I think we'll add some to this clock face maybe, and make the hands of our clock. Oh guys, that is so cute. Look at there. It's just two little, isn't that sweet? I actually like that a lot. That's cute. And you could do as many of those as you want to on your journal. Like, it would be cute just to have little X's everywhere, I think, you know? All right, but I think we're gonna call this good. We have to stop somewhere or I'll keep going, you know, forever. So we're gonna call this the completed journal look, I think. All right, y'all, it is a new day, and today we're gonna finish up our journal cover completely and get it ready for pages. So when we last left off, we completed all the decorations on the front cover and back cover, and it is looking nice and pretty, and I love it. So today we're gonna finish off the inside of our journal cover and get it looking finished as well. And I've gotten out a few supplies. I have some Tim Holtz paper, and then I have this sheet of really pretty scrapbook paper. I think it's from a Michaels paper pad, but it's got all this gold foil, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it's got like splotches of pink and purple and light pink in there, and it's just really pretty. So we might use that. We might go with Mr. Holtz. And then I have my little glue pot and my PVA glue, which I'm going to use to put all of our end papers in, and a brush. And for the spine part, you can cover it with paper. I generally like to cover all of my hinge gaps in fabric. So I have a piece of the same fabric I used for the journal cover, and we're going to cover the spine with fabric. So that's what we're gonna do first. Let me get everything set up and we'll get to work. So for your spine, you need some fabric. You can use paper for this. This is just a personal preference thing for me. I like having the double layer of fabric there for the hinge gaps so that it's nice and strong and will last a long time. So you want a piece of fabric that is going to cover the spine part completely and also give you enough room to work that fabric down into the hinge gaps, and then leave you a little extra on each side. So this piece is probably twice the size of our spine, a little more than double the spine size. I think it's probably a little too much fabric, so I'm going to trim it down a tiny bit. Maybe not with those scissors though. Alrighty. So a good rule of thumb is just to have a piece of fabric that's twice the size of your spine, and that should give you plenty of room to work. Now, the length of it is completely up to you. You can choose to start here at the edge where your other fabric meets. So you have, like that covered, but you don't want any sticking out the top. You can leave it long, let this fabric hang out the top, fray the edges, and go for that look. Or you can cut it to exactly meet. This is really, again, this is a personal preference thing. I'm gonna cut mine somewhere in between, maybe halfway up the fabric part there, and the same on the bottom. And I don't actually cut. I like to snip and then rip because it gives you a straighter line. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but especially with these cotton fabrics, if you're not good at cutting a straight line like your girl here, you can snip and then rip. And that works out really well for me. I'm not too worried about these little tiny frays on the edge. I'm just trying to get any really big loose strings off of there. All right, and this is what it looks like now that we have our piece cut. It's looking pretty good. So we're gonna go ahead and lay some glue down and get this thing glued on. And I'm gonna be pretty liberal with my glue. And right now, I'm only gluing on the spine itself. I'm not trying to go into the hinge gaps at this point. You can do it all in one fell swoop if you want to. I just find it's a little bit easier to work with if I do the spine first and then work on the others. And then I'm gonna place my fabric down an equal distance from each side. Give it a little smush. Make sure everything's laid down nicely. A little more glue on this end. Okay. All right, now that that is down, we can go ahead and work on our hinge gaps. Again, I like to have my bone folders ready for this part so that we can really work that fabric down into that hinge gap. All right, so I am going to apply glue into the hinge gap on the edges of the book board and then on this side. So we're going to go ahead and finish the rest of it right now. Getting glue all down in there on all of the edges. And then you want to come out onto the cover a little bit with a nice layer of glue. Okay. All right, then we are going to work that fabric down into the hinge gap first, making sure that we have enough fabric to get along the edges, down into the gap, and then come out on the other side for your journal to be nice and secure. Just going to make sure I got everything glued down well in there. And then we're gonna, because I'm right-handed, I'm just gonna flip my journal over and do this side. It's a little bit easier for me to work from this side of the journal. So again, we're gonna go along the edges, get in the hinge gap, all along the edges of the book board. Make sure everything is got a layer of glue. And then we're gonna work it in there with, and I'm using the fat side of my bone folder. You can use either, whatever you prefer. Or you can just do this with your fingers if that's your jam. Get in there with your fingers and work it in. All right, and then we're just gonna smooth this part down. Let me flip us over and see what we're doing over here. I'm gonna mush my hinge gaps back in this direction. I think what we're going to do is go ahead and add our other layer of glue. I always like to top this with glue just to make sure that everything is stuck down nice and well, and it's not going to come loose. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and then I'm going to paint afterward. Mainly, I want to get this edge here so that it's nice and flat and laying down as smooth as we can get it, because when our paper goes on top of this, we want that to look as neat as possible. So we're going to add a layer of glue and smush all of those little fabric fibers on the ripped edge down. And if you have any super long ones, of course, trim those. Okay, friends, now we're gonna let this dry. I still have the paint that I used for the cover, and it is still looking good. So we're gonna use some of this to paint this fabric and get it to match everything else. And then hopefully it will look pretty seamless. All right, there's one coat. Let's put this under the fan again. All right, I'm gonna go in with the second coat. Okay, let's let this dry. Okay, friends, I think this is dry enough to work on. It's not completely dry, but it's not like coming off on my hands. It still feels cold, so I know it's not completely dry. But we're gonna go ahead and see if we can put our end papers on. And I think what I'm gonna do is use some of Tim Holtz paper to make pockets for the inside covers. So we're gonna play with that in just a second also. But first, let's get these guys glued down, and then we'll play. sorry I'm not talking, guys. I feel like this part is always a little bit stressful for me, because you don't have much time to get your paper in the right place. And so I usually put a layer of glue on this, and then I do a layer of glue on the paper, and I find that that helps me to be able to move the paper around a little bit more easily, just for a few seconds, so I can get it in position. If you only do glue on one or the other, when you stick down, you're stuck down. So that might be a tip if you guys try making your own journals, or if you've had trouble with this step too, you might want to try putting glue on both. All right, and then the moment of truth. Here we go, friends. And of course, it always wants to curl up on you. So you can see it's wiggling around a little bit, and that's because I put glue on both the paper and the book board. And then I just look at the edges and make sure that I have about the same distance from the paper to the edge of the book on all the sides, and then you smush. Looking pretty good. All right. Whew, one more side. I don't know why this makes me so nervous. I mean, it's really fun. If it does stick down and it's in the wrong spot, you just pull it up and cut more paper. But it always leaves behind traces of paper. So then you kind of end up with a little bit more bumpy surface to work with. So, all right, here we go. Make sure I have my paper ready. Okay, I'll work this way. All right, here we go, friends. I have a little smush out happening on this one. That's fine. We're just going to take care of that with a wet wipe and our fingers. Okay, I'm going to sit this aside and just clean up my area a little bit, and then we'll get right back to it. Okay, let's talk about this pocket element. I really, really love this little floral spray right here on the side, and I think that would be so pretty to make like a side pocket or a side tuck situation. But instead of cutting it in just a straight line, I think I want to maybe fussy cut the flowers a little bit and see what that looks like. It might be a total like fail, I don't know, but that is I think what I'm gonna do. So let's just make some decisions and go with it, right? Go ahead and take this off. That way we'll have a nice straight piece to work with later on that side. I think it's a little too large for the space, maybe. Here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna trim our flowers a little bit, and hopefully I'm not about to ruin this. I think it's these ones that are bothering me. We might just trim these little guys. Ah, better. Okay, we're going with this, my friends. Let's glue her down. I'm gonna leave this little corner open so that we can have a little peekaboo moment there. this is what the pocket looks like. I think it's really cute. I'm gonna have to trim the edge a little bit. I kind of got off when I was gluing. We're gonna do something on this one too, but I'm not sure yet. So we're probably gonna leave this one alone for now. Although that is kind of cute, but I might want to punch a border or something. I'm not sure yet. We're gonna leave this alone. So this is our finished cover as of right now. I think it looks nice and neat. The only thing that we have left to do for this is to lay it flat and smush it down with something heavy so that as the glue dries, everything will be nice and flat and our cover won't have any big bumps or anything. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go pile up a bunch of books on top of this and we're gonna let it dry, and that'll be it for this video, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this little journal come together. I think this is gonna be it for this video. We're just gonna do the cover part in this video because it's gotten kind of long, and then I'll show you in the second part of this journal build how we put our pages together and our signatures, and we'll sew those in and decorate. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys had a good time, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
I tried to hold it steady in my hands, but it moved like water, never planned. Happily ever after, felt closer in the dark, like something I imagined and forgot where you are. We were writing in the margins of a story